It's on now.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, welcome to this specially called meeting of the Clovis City Commission. We will begin in just a moment after we've had a word of prayer and we honor our flags. If you would, stand, pray with me. Heavenly Father, we praise you and thank you for the blessings you give us each day. We thank you for the wonderful community made up of incredibly beautiful people that you've called us all to live, work, and serve in. We thank you for the opportunity to take up an important issue tonight, certainly important to the public and to the fabric of this community. And Lord, we pray for wise guidance. We pray that you are glorified, and we ask for your continued hand of blessing over our city. And I ask these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in honoring our country's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. With that, our meeting is called to order. Would the clerk please call roll?
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Porter.
Here.
Commissioner Bryant.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant.
Here.
Commissioner Garza.
Here.
Commissioner Casaus. Commissioner Rowley.
Here.
Commissioner Parla. Mayor Morris.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Burrows. Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, obviously this is a special meeting. The agenda is rather simple. Does anyone object to how the agenda has been published? Hearing and seeing no objections, we will adopt the agenda, and please record a yes vote for each of the commission members. Next, we are on to the one item that we have on tonight's agenda, and that is under introduction and adoption of resolutions and ordinances. We have one item. It is a request for approval of introduction of an ordinance requiring abortion providers in the city of Clovis to comply with federal law. And this item was placed on the agenda, and this meeting was called by Commissioner David Bryant. So, Commissioner Bryant, I'll give you the floor if you have comments you would like to make.
Thank you. I thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening. I appreciate that. Can you hear me?
No, pull a little closer.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. At this time, I'd like to turn this over to Mark Lee Dixon to explain the ordinance.
Actually, before we go there, I had some comments I would make. I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak. I might call on you a little more later if that's all right.
That's fine.
I wanted to address the group. Obviously, this is an important issue. You know, safe to say I've never seen this many people in the commission chamber. I trust you've all found a comfortable spot, I hope. Maybe this won't be a incredibly long meeting, and you'll be comfortable. But I did want to share, since the passage, or since the overturning of Roe v. Wade last summer, this is an issue that I've tried very hard to anticipate and stay in front of, and see coming. And so I've done a fair amount of research, spent a lot of time working on, what is possible that the city may be able to do, or what is not possible, and all of those kinds of things. And then obviously last week things really sped up. But I just wanted to state, because we've had folks come in from outside our community and really stir us up, and that's okay. But I just know that this community didn't need that. We know how we feel about these things, right? And I think we know what to do. But I wanted to state for everyone once again, I did last week out at the demonstration that was outside. But I just wanted to state my position and kind of talk about why I hold the position I do on the issue. And no secret about it. If you know me, you know that I'm pro-life, and I'm pro-life for a couple of what I would call really just basic scientific reasons. I'm pro-life because in the very early stages of a pregnancy, and this is common knowledge, I believe, to everyone, but this is what does it for me. There is separate and distinct DNA after the fertilization of the egg. And, we use DNA in our society to identify human beings, distinct and individual human beings. And so to me, that's evidence of a distinct and individual human being. And then sometimes as early as 4 weeks, I understand, but certainly by 6 weeks, you have a heartbeat. We use we check somebody's pulse to see how they're doing and see if they're alive. And obviously that, to me, is a sign of life. We have a separate and distinct life when we talk about what's happening with a pregnancy. And my position isn't about getting into a woman's business at all. It's just that. That is a separate and distinct human being deserving of the protections that we're all afforded under the United States Constitution. And I want to state also, I recognize that this community is by and large pro-life, but I'm mayor of everybody in Clovis, and I recognize that we have residents that do not hold my belief and don't share this. So I just want you to know, and everybody to know, that I package my pro-life position with compassion and with grace and love. Okay, and I will never belittle or disrespect someone that holds the other opinion. And so, I don't want a pro-choice citizen of Clovis, hearing their mayor say this and think they're alienated, because they are not. I care and respect for them just as I do anyone. But this is my position, and more importantly, and while that's my personal position, more importantly, you elected me as your mayor, and so you by and large are a pro-life community. So I have a certain responsibility to the greatest extent possible represent you accurately. Correct? So it's from those positions that I hold that I was motivated to begin researching what is possible, because the elephant in the room, or maybe it's not the elephant in the room, this is an obvious thing to everyone, is that we live in a state that seems to have decided, and that the debate is over. Well, I would like to say that maybe the debate isn't over, right? But we do have to recognize where we're at on the food chain, right? And so we got to be honest and say, all right, as I did my research looking for what is possible that we could do. And when I say what is possible, what I'm talking about is, I wanted to find something, if it existed, that I could ask this commission to consider in the spirit of the overall health and safety and well-being of our community, right? Or I wanted to turn every stone and make absolutely certain that there isn't anything that I could have asked them to consider, right? I mean, that's how we approach something like this. And so the Supreme Court, when they overturned Roe v. Wade, they said that they would let the states decide. And so we have to recognize that our state believes they have decided. And so, we're not going to write abortion law for the state of New Mexico from this seat in Clovis. However, what is it that we could do? Is there legal space that we have to operate in, has been my question. And as I've researched this over the last couple of months, I've spoken with lawmakers, attorneys in both New Mexico and Texas, including Mark Lee Dixon, the activist that you've all come to know over the last few weeks in Clovis. He's connected us with attorney Jonathan Mitchell, who pinned the draft ordinance that you have before this commission tonight. And so I wanted everyone to know that as your mayor, I've been working on that. And the goal all along has been to find something that I could have this commission consider, but that something has to be good, right? I mean, it has to stand the test. And again, I think there's a misbelief among much of the community that that we possess a silver bullet that if we would just use it, our problems are solved. Well, I'm telling you, they're not. Okay, there's risk involved with what this commission is considering, and it doesn't solve all the problems. And let's remember, ultimately, this is a state decision. So this turnout, this passion, this energy can't stop here. In fact, it needs to snowball. We need to lobby the state. I mean, and when a state decides, you are the state. I'm the state, and we decide by who we put in the governor's office. Right? And we've got a race going right now, and candidates have told you exactly what they're going to do, right? So, and we also decide it by who we put in legislative seats, and so so just keep all of that in mind, and so anything that we were going to consider was going to have to be really solid, because we can't go off half-cocked and do something dangerous and jeopardize the debate. You know, we could do something crazy, and the debate could be ended by a bad Supreme Court ruling, correct? So these are the things that this commission has had to consider. So I just want to talk a little bit about the timeline. You all got real interested in this last week, a week ago today, October 6th. We had a turnout, not quite this big, but we had a turnout for the commission meeting, a demonstration outside beforehand. You told me and these commissioners you wanted an ordinance passed that would make us a sanctuary city. We don't have a sanctuary city ordinance, but we do have an ordinance that deals with the subject. Last week, I told you I would see this on the next regular meeting agenda, which is the 20th, and I stand by what I said there. That was a reasonable thing for me to say. We had just received this draft ordinance, which has now been changed a few times, including today. So I just want to point out that these things take time. I wasn't slow playing anything. I said, look, we just received this. These commissioners hadn't seen it yet last Thursday. They saw it on October 7th, last Friday. And so they've now had 6 or 7 days, calendar days, to review this. And to be honest, I was contemplating how practical a special meeting would be, but I was taking into account commissioners' schedules and their availability and all of those things, and then and several other factors. And but on Monday, Commissioner David Bryant, without checking with me or any of these other commission members, as far as I know, forced this meeting. So here we are, and if. And yeah, I'm glad we're here, but this process has also deprived the citizens of Clovis of 2 of their representatives because they weren't available this evening, and so I struggle with that. I have a feeling some of these others do as well. But I just want to tell you, since Monday, we have worked very hard reviewing this. We've had the opportunity to have questions asked and hopefully answered. I spent time today back and forth with Mark Lee Dixon and the Texas attorney, and speaking with some of these commissioners that still had questions. And so what's before them this evening is an ordinance that involves risk, that will certainly be tested, but that I believe we have, at least currently, the legal space in which to operate. And the basic premise of the ordinance is that compliance with a very specific federal law would be a condition of receiving a business license in the city of Clovis. And that federal law, which is in place, and it criminalizes the shipping or interstate transport of abortion medicines and abortion-related paraphernalia. So I always want to wrangle up all of the details, and so I just wanted to do that, if that's all right, and kind of lay some things out there. Commissioner Bryant, I'll give the floor back to you. I wonder, would you kind of share with us about your analysis on this issue, or maybe you would like to address how we've left 2 commissioners out of this discussion this evening?
Well, Commissioner, the last meeting that we had an overwhelming amount of people out here calling for a special meeting and not to wait. And after that meeting, I was reached out to again, and I chose not to wait. and I will take that burden on myself. I apologize that we have two commissioners that aren't here tonight. I wish we heard their voices as well. This is an introduction, and we're not actually voting on the ordinance yet, just to introduce it. And I think it's time that we just move it forward. And
Okay, very good. So, very good. So before we begin receiving public comment, I just want to talk to Mayor Pro Tem and commissioners with what's before you. What discussion are you ready to have or not ready to have? What questions do you have? Where would you like to go? Beginning now.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner Jones.
I have significant concern that we do have two commissioners out. There was ample opportunity for us to call this special meeting upon everybody's availability. Still do it before our next commission meeting, and we ignored that. And I do not believe that's fair to those commissioners. So everything that you all are going to have to say this evening, they're not going to hear unless they go back and look at it on TV, or on the video, but they're not here to receive that message. That is not fair to them. This is a significant issue that we're getting ready to make for this city, all right? And a quarter of our commission is not here. I have a significant issue with that. We've done a lot of work in 7 days. We've put a lot of hours into this. And I want to thank Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Dixon for looking at our edits and putting that into the ordinance that we have before us today. I agree with the mayor. I think we're there, but I still think it is completely unfair that we have called this meeting when we could have scheduled it so that everybody's available, and then all of you are still available to come in and give us your opinion and your thoughts on the matter. And so now, I'd just like to have the discussion on whether we want to table this until the availability of all the commissioners or until the next scheduled meeting.
Mayor, if I may.
Yep. Commissioner Rowley, you have the floor.
I absolutely agree with Commissioner Jones. I think that it's significant that two of our commissioners are gone, and two of those commissioners are women. And we're not allowing them to have their voice in this. And they have other prior obligations that they weren't able to make. And I think that we have also just received this new updated copy at 2:30 this afternoon. And so I also agree that we need to table this until everyone can be here and we've had more time with this updated version.
Appreciate that, Commissioner. Anyone else?
Yeah, Mayor, if I
Commissioner
may.
Porter?
I too am in agreement with our duty to be responsible enough to have every representative of our community here to voice and give feedback for this event. I feel like there's been an incredible amount of haste with this, with what I cannot perceive as a strategy to the haste. We do not yet have somebody that we know of applying for a business license in here in Clovis because we have commissioners missing, and they have a right, and they should be allowed to give their voice to this.
You said this is a certain agenda that has yet to be voted on. So why is it necessary?
Sir,
Mayor,
I think there'll be a time.
Yeah, just a moment, sir. We can't hear you. I guess we'll let Commissioner finish his statement, and then if it's necessary, we'll have you come to the mic and hear from you. Go ahead, Commissioner Porter.
In conclusion, I feel like our commissioners all should have a voice in this. Now, I understand that the community wants it right now. This is not... this is not a decision that comes lightly to any of us. I feel like every one of us probably, I know for myself, have lost a lot of sleep over this. And at the end of the day, we have an incomplete commission, and it's just not fair, in my view.
Okay, just a moment. Mayor Pro Tem or Commissioners, any more comments from you on this? And we'll figure out where to go from there. Anything else to add? Because, you know, this is tough. We don't have, you know, we don't do this. It's not like this is the second or third time we've done this type of thing. But and I am grieved. In fact, I'm and Commissioner David Bryant knows this. I'm extremely upset at him for doing this, because I mean, we could have coordinated this. We could have organized things and had a meeting that included everyone, if there had just been some communication. But what I would say is, with the amount of work that we did today, the amount of communication that we had with the attorney that drafted this, there was at least one other commissioner that joined me in that communication, and then, you know, and I'm laboring over this. As the mayor, you vote in the event of a tie, and now we're having a debate about whether or not to table. So I'm having to think, how will I vote, right? If there's a tie. But given that this is an introduction, and there will still be time for feedback from the public, and there can still be a debate at the adoption. And I would suggest perhaps a compromise would be, rather than rush the adoption on the shortest timeline that we could possibly have it on, if this group here tonight was willing to discuss introducing it, that we do what we normally do, and that is bring it back at the and we would bring it back at the second meeting in November for adoption. But we would get it introduced tonight, potentially. So, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, thoughts on that?
Mr. Mayor, I understand the feeling. Yeah, you have two commissioners missing. We work on this just today, pretty much. But again, the principle of the ordinance was already presented to us on Monday or before that. The idea that we want to table it because we're missing two commissioners, I understand that. But I also understand the fact that this is just an introduction. It's not a final. So you will have the other two commissioners. In fact, they will have more time to review these by the next time we introduce it for final approval. So.
Yeah,
Mayor.
great point, Commissioner. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
I can agree with Commissioner Garza. I don't think this ordinance is going to change much in the next week or so. So, I mean, and it's only an introduction, like he says. So, I've had multiple calls, a lot of emails in the last couple of days. 99.9% of those pro-life. I'm pro-life, and so, I don't have a problem with this at this point. Like he says, it's an introduction right now. We're not adopting it. There's plenty of time for more discussion on this, so, I'm ready to move forward with it also.
Mayor, I think if it's all right with the commission, I'd like to hear from a few of the people. And I'd like to hear their reasonings for doing it today versus having all the commissioners here. Is that acceptable?
If you'd like to do that, let's do that. Let's, obviously, with a crowd like this, it's going to be necessary that we limit the number of speakers. We kind of get it. We know what the message is, but We'll put a 3-minute timer up, and let's hear from 3 or 4 people and see where this goes. Pastor Farrell DeFore.
Thank you, Mayor Morse. There we go. Thank you very much. I am the pastor of Grace Fellowship Church here in Clovis. 2 years ago, I came to the committee, and that's when Rue Brinder was on and a few others that were here as on the commission. And I asked to have our Clovis city put into a sanctuary city. It was literally laughed off the stage, basically, and not dealt with. Never picked up after 2 years. We can wait and table it and put it off and put it off and put it off. But I've already waited 2 years. I'm ready to fight and I'm ready to get it on.
Mayor,
Evening, sir.
Commissioners, my name is, do you need our name? Charles Otero, 1201 Rosewood Drive, Clovis.
Thank you for that.
I am answering specifically your question. Number one, I understand all of your hearts towards the 2 missing commissioners, and I don't understand why they're gone. But this isn't something that is final, and this is about lives. So to your question, I didn't know I was going to be answering it, but I have a letter from the Christian Medical and Dental Association that I asked as a member to provide data for you.
Just a moment. You said, Mike, which one of my questions?
That why is the rush on?
Okay,
Is that
was-
correct?
That was Commissioner Porter's question.
Why
I
is
just
the
wanted to
rush
make
on?
sure I knew what we were talking about.
Okay, and I'm glad you
Yeah.
clarified that. This organization was founded in 1931. They tell you about their goals, which I will provide you the letter with, why they exist. But the important part is they respectfully submit this letter regarding consideration of this ordinance provided by the city of Clovis that I gave them, that you would go with it for the following reasons. We're not just talking about babies. I'm a medical provider. The reason I'm trembling up here is I've already heard of other people eyeing this community. And once the cat's out of the bag, it's a whole lot harder to get it in. So sooner is better. I've heard about this for over 3 months. Second question was, or thought I had, was I know we like to take care of our own business, but without the outside help, I believe God brought us to move this forward, we would be nowhere along. So I apologize that they came in, but I'm very thankful to God that they did so we can move on. So, long-term complicated abortions, including an increased risk of preterm birth, subsequent pregnancies. So we're talking about the women that are gone tonight. Those people, with this ordinance, we may have less troubles for the women of Clovis. They said that increased number of elective abortions, abortion has also been tied to multiple term mental health conditions. I'm ready last week, but I do know there is due process. Next, in review of the literature, abortion as compared to childbirth was found to increase the risk of anxiety disorders, depression, substance abuse. How much more of that does this committee and this city have to work with? We can slow things down. Finally, studies also show an increased risk of subsequent breast cancers from this kind of a procedure. And I want to stop those as well as the death of the children God made. I would like to present this letter to you because with me shaking, I didn't read it as well, but you guys can read it, and I will leave two for the 2 commissioners. I'm sorry, whatever was so important, and I know our lives have things that are that way, must have been pretty big compared to not being here. Thank you, David, Bryant, for taking the heat. If there's a better way to do it, I hope you guys can come up with it.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike Seibel from Abortion on Trial. I represent nearly every pro-life organization here in New Mexico. I sit on a national council of leadership meetings for pro-life leaders throughout the country. I am familiar with almost every national pro-life attorney. What you said, Mayor, I appreciate, because you've been working hard, and I know you've been working hard. But we gotta get some misnomers down here. Roe did not give it back to the states. That is the biggest misnomer of them all. It gave it back to the legislative bodies, and you, all of you, are the legislative bodies here. You have the power. You have the power to enact home rule protections to protect health, safety, welfare, and moral problems in your communities and your cities. It's very clear. There's case law out there that makes it very clear here in the state of New Mexico. Every attorney I've talked to has said that this is a valid ordinance, both nationally and state here in the state of New Mexico. Why wait? I'll tell you why wait. How many people are going to die? Not only the babies, but the women. I've represented over 15 women in New Mexico who've lost their uterus, who've had major bleeding, and one who died. Do you want that death on your hand? You want to protect women. This is urgent. I talk to women every day. You talk about the emotional, they sit here and they call my office each and every day. They got the pill in their hand. They're crying, saying, I can't go to my bathroom because I killed my baby. I can't bury my baby anywhere. Do I flush it or put it down the toilet? They don't know. This industry is dangerous. Don't believe what's going on. Just read what's going on in Albuquerque. Abortions in hotel rooms, traffickers coming to your neighborhood. You don't want this in your city. This needs to be done as quickly as possible. And you know what? If it has election consequences to any of you, if that's in your mind, you shouldn't worry about the elections. You should worry about doing what is right now. So I ask you, move this forward today. Don't let any woman die. I don't want them in my office crying. Because if I get them in my office crying, sobbing, and everything else, and they said, I was in Clovis and this happened, I'm going to send them to your office. Because I'm going to have you explain why you waited. So please, pass this ordinance, or get this on the agenda now, get it set up for a vote as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Commissioners, my name is Laura White. I am a citizen of Clovis. First of all, I just wanted to thank Commissioners Jones, Porter, and Rowley for their caution in moving things forward, and here's why. I'm not here to talk about the debate. I'm not here to debate the issue, not here to argue with folks who agree, disagree, etc. My main concern is for legal process. And so if we take a look at the city code of Clovis and the legal process for how ordinances are supposed to be introduced and passed, the city code of Clovis indicates in chapter 108.010, first of all, that all of the ordinance brought to commission have to be prepared by the city attorney. And so I have a question that I'll finish talking and then you all can respond, but I just have a question as far as has the city attorney been involved in the preparation of the text and just following that legal requirement for the city code. The other thing I just wanted to bring to your attention is that, as I'm sure you know, you mentioned in your statements earlier that you've been working on the text of the ordinance up through today, this afternoon, as recently as this afternoon. And there is again, legally, the public has to be able to see the text of the ordinance for at least 72 hours prior to it being introduced. So even if we just take a look at the legal right to public information, I'm not sure that the legal process allows it to be introduced tonight in its current form without the public having had access to the current text. And again, I agree that I think all of the commissioners should be present. I know that nobody in this room wants to get to the end of this process, whatever that may be, whether it passes or doesn't pass. Nobody wants to get to the end and then have somebody come up and say, whoops, you didn't follow the law. whoops, you violated the city code. Whoops, you violated the rights of the citizens of Clovis, because I know that you all, have the best interests of the citizens at heart. And so I know that you want to dot all your I's and cross your T's and all of those sorts of things. And so again, I just want to make sure that I think it's better to follow the city code and follow the law. And so I would like a response just as far as what role the city attorney has played in the preparation of the text, since the city code does require that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. And the city attorney has been involved, but I'm actually going to, if I may, I'm going to call on you, Mr. Morris, to maybe speak to that, as well as the Open Meetings Act published 72 hours in advance question that Ms. White brought up.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. So she's right about the first point and incorrect about the second. The ordinance does say, there is an ordinance that says all ordinances shall be prepared by the city attorney.
That's your timer, sorry.
Oh, that's the timer.
That's your
That explains a lot. Last meeting, I thought you were getting calls all day. So, yes, we have an ordinance that says I have to prepare, or the city attorney has to prepare all ordinances. I did not prepare or offer any changes on this ordinance. However, I don't think that would invalidate the ordinance, but I do think it does not comply with our city code. Second question, we have to publish the agenda 72 hours in advance. We do not have to publish the entire text of the ordinance, and in fact, it's our practice to make last-minute changes and move through things and make changes after introduction, and so those are my answers.
I knew you were going to say that a lot better than I do, but I know that we commonly amend, an ordinance before approving it, on the spot. And so, Ms. White, I hope that answers your questions. Sir.
Hi, my name is Sean Jackson. I'm actually a resident of Portales. Now, I can understand, your desire to table it, and especially when there's two women who aren't here. But you have plenty of women back here who do have an opinion on this abortion bill. Now, you hear the debate about my body, my choice, but the choice was already made. It's not about if you start making exceptions for abortion or incest, then you start going down the road that we've already gone down. Now, you talk about tabling this until after the election. You are already elected. You are already getting paid by these people in order to make the decision to make their streets safer, in order to make sure that, you're not dealing with traffickers in this city. You're not dealing with the women who are taking their own lives, the children whose lives are already taken because of convenience, and that's exactly what abortion is. Convenience. Now, I may not sit there, but we happen to live in these neighborhoods. We happen to live in Clovis or in Portales and the surrounding areas. And what is expected to, if you allow this abortion to come in, it will change everything. You can be religious and think about sin, or you can look at the society as a whole. It's the worst honest decision that anybody can make.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dixon.
My name is Mark Lee Dixon, Director with the Right to Life of East Texas, founder of Sanctuary City for the Unborn Initiative from Longview, Texas. All day today and for the past several days, I've knew this meeting was tonight, and a lot of people have been calling me and asking about what they should say. And I said, I really believe that this is going to be something that has moved forward. And I really believe that you guys need to be there for y'all's commissioners, that y'all need to support y'all's mayor, that you need to do everything that you can to let them know that you stand with them. And I just want to ask right now, anyone in this room who is for them moving forward, if y'all just stand. Thank you. And, I said, as long as they don't do something stupid like table it, then, don't give them heck. Well, guys, y'all are tempting me to, say some things right now that I don't really want to say. Guys, y'all are here to represent the people of Clovis. And how many times have y'all had this many people show up for a meeting? You gotta pregnancy resource banquet on the 20th. Over 600 people signed up for that because they believe in supporting life. And I know that so many people have said, we've got a pro-life mayor, we've got a pro-life commission, that these people believe that all life is precious. And they're believing in you guys today. They're believing in you guys today to introduce an ordinance for publication to move this process forward. And we're in a little bit of conundrum if that doesn't happen today. You got people that's already talking about, well, if this is tabled, I'm going to run for office, or da-da-da-da-da. Well, guys, y'all are good leaders. I want to share with y'all a story about a city councilor, a councilwoman in Gorman, Texas. City you probably never heard of before. It's a little over 1,000 people. But that councilwoman, when this came before her city council, she said it's a no-brainer. We don't want babies to be murdered in our city. If you think that the 2 missing commissioners might actually want babies to be murdered in this city, then go ahead and table it. Go ahead and make sure you get their thoughts on this matter. But if you believe that you know them well enough, that they don't want babies to be murdered in this city, then go ahead and move this process forward, and don't cause the people behind me and to the side of me to get irritated and have to come out here for another rally, for another, I mean, we could be here a long time. Represent the people that care about this issue. Last thing I'll mention, in Whiteface, Texas, not too far from here, there were 7 cities that got sued by the ACLU. It lasted 3 months, but that mayor had called me up and said, Mark, we need an ordinance. And I said, Mayor Devers, do you realize that 7 cities just got sued by the ACLU? And she said, I understand that. God kept me up late at night. This was heavy on my heart. What would happen if we didn't do this? And I said, Mayor Devers, are you saying you fear God more than the ACLU? And she said, that's exactly what I'm saying. Guys, I encourage you guys, who do you fear? I know that there are legislators in this state that I heard Representative Montoya had actually said, I hope this goes forward tonight. You know, I was talking to, this is probably going to get me in trouble, but I was talking to Mark Cronchetti, and I was telling them a while back about what was happening here tonight. And I said, you know, this is what you're talking about. Among the people, the communities, deciding this issue. And I said, when Clovis does this, don't waste the opportunity. Stand with the people of Clovis. Stand with the people of Hobbs. Stand with the people of New Mexico that are pro-life and want to see this state, these counties, these cities move forward with the heart of what New Mexicans truly believe. Please do not make this political. Please do not push this past the election. Please move this forward today.
Thanks, Mr. Dixon.
May I?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for allowing me to speak for a moment.
We'd just like
My name is Leanna Shaw.
and
There you go.
yeah, I
How
guess you're
about
gonna
that?
have to get really close to that
Okay.
microphone.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your time. My name is Leanna Shaw. I really love the idea that so many people are really passionate right now. That makes me really happy. I think that being passionate about family, women, those kinds of issues are really dear to my heart. I used to work in sexual assault, domestic violence, and child abuse. And the issues there are more than what people see every day here. Oftentimes in the organization I used to work for, people would come to me without reporting to law enforcement, without reporting to anyone outside of the agency because they were fearful. So there are a lot of issues with domestic violence with women to where they don't feel like they have a voice. And in sexual assault, the same thing. And a lot of children who have been abused that we saw, I feel like maybe some of the same passion and energy is lacking. I feel like you're not going to change anybody's mind. And again, I'm glad that everybody's passionate, but also remembering the people that are impacted by this is a really important thing. Remembering that when we have children that we're not taking care of, because sometimes they're not just babies anymore. Sometimes they're 8, sometimes they're 10, right? And making sure that whatever direction you go, that if you're not supporting children as they get past the baby stage when they're really cute and cuddly, then we're not doing our jobs as citizens. So I really think that no matter what direction we go, that please keep those people in mind.
Point well made. Thank you. Evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Scott Pettis. Thank you for having us and hearing us out tonight. I'm a pastor in Artesia, New Mexico, and I came up here because I'm interested in what you're doing, because you will set the model for the rest of this state. And we, as your neighbors, want to encourage you and say, we're behind you and we're following you. But I want to answer I can't remember if, Mr. Porter, Mr. Jones, if you asked, what's the rush? We don't have anybody coming at us. I'd like to quote Sun Tzu for you. It says, he who is prudent and lies in wait for an enemy who is not will be victorious. Understand that the enemy is there. I spent 25 years in our U.S. Armed Forces, 20 of it fighting overseas. I did not wait until the enemy was standing on my front door before I prepared and got my gun, and I stood ready to fight. God has called each and every one of you. You sit in your seats according to Romans 13 by God placing you there, and he has given you the job to bear the sword against the evil one. I beg of you tonight, push this forward and get on it as quick as possible. Pass this ordinance. Stop one more innocent life from being lost, and bear the sword against the evil one. And we might be able to start a tidal wave in this state that'll move all across the state and stop this nonsense. Thank you.
Evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Chris Haney, and I am a city councilman from Odessa, Texas. I come to you tonight to say what happens when you delay. Your town starts getting overrun. Your town starts having more stuff going on than you can shake a stick at. Your town becomes a drop-off place for illegals. Everybody's pregnant. Everybody wants an abortion. Why are we fighting this tonight? Why are you guys fighting this? I ran on this policy of safe havens for babies in Odessa, Texas. That's what I ran. I ran into a whole Democratic, my whole section is Democrat. I'm the first Republican elected from that. I ran on just this. I didn't run on anything else. I ran on, yeah, we can fix some roads and stuff, but my main objective was this. I prayed all the way up here. I prayed for this all the way. I'm fasting right now. I'm fasting for you guys. I'm letting you know that God is on your side. And if you do not look around and see what's going to happen, this invasion is going to come, and it's going to come so quick you're not going to know how to take this. And it's coming, and I'm telling you it's coming. Right now we're losing babies every day in Odessa. My heart breaks. We're losing babies every day because we did something that we should have passed. But we took this on. They did this. And so the new city council that's coming in, and this is what could happen to you guys. A new city council comes in, they're going to pass it because of this right behind you. You see this? This is what makes you guys go. Not me, not anybody else. This. And I thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for your time, sir. So,
Good evening.
good evening, ma'am.
I'm grateful for the opportunity and the freedom that we get
I'm
to
sorry,
share.
ma'am. We need your name and address. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. My name is Sonia Otero. I live at 1201 Rosewood Drive here in Clovis. I've been a very proud resident for a long time now. I grew up in Alaska, and just hearing the different stories, perspectives, I appreciate all of them, and I want to share one of mine. This is back in 1980, a little late 80s, my niece was raped, and she had a baby boy. My niece was on my bed, not when she gave birth, but when she found out that she was pregnant. It was not an easy situation. A very embarrassing, very shameful feeling, but she was brave, and she was bold, and she gave life to a beautiful young baby boy who now is a dad of his little boy. So I'm just grateful that she was able to make that choice to go forward. I recognize the fact that everyone does have a choice, but there's consequences of pain that women endure that are many times overlooked. And so I just want to say, one of the comments, or one of the things that happened to my mom, who sits in the crowd, who's the great-grandmother of that little boy, baby boy, she was doing her part to try and get the word out to come to this event. And she got a wrong number and sent it to the wrong number. And the response was, "Who in the world is sending this? I bite the heads of babies off." That was the response to my mom. So I recognize, yes, not everyone is for this, but we are for this. And so we ask you, with respect to those that are absent, but those that are present, we need you to please make this a go. In Jesus' name.
So, thank you, ma'am. Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, I feel like, these are just some wonderful people that we have here tonight, and I would love to hear from them all. I'm glad that we have heard from residents of our city as well as folks that are visiting from outside. I'll just reiterate, I don't like the timing, but gosh, none of us like any of this, right? I mean, I hate that we're having to deal with this, but I would just encourage you that we obviously have our community behind us, and if you have the will to go ahead and take this up tonight, we can understand that it is an introduction. I said in my opening, that we have a responsibility. I think I said I do, but we do have a responsibility to look out for the overall health and safety and well-being of our community. And we don't want to be a place where abortion happens. We definitely don't want to be this.
That was your timer, Mayor.
That's it. The worst case scenario that we can all imagine is given the landscape, right? It's been banned in Texas, and here we are right inside, and we don't want to be an abortion destination, and I would just submit to you that the timing is awful. I hate that our fellow commissioners aren't here. However, I believe it's inevitable that we would at least take a vote on this. So with that said, I'd like to continue hearing from people, but really I'd like to hear from you. What would you like to do now? Do you want to take a vote on tabling, or does someone want to take a vote on this that's before us?
Mayor,
Can I make a comment?
Commissioner David Bryant. Sorry, Mayor Pro Tem. He was flagging me down.
I understand this is terrible timing, and, I take the brunt and the blame for it. And, no, I wish the other two commissioners were here. I really do. Mm-hmm. And if we actually just vote on this to introduce it, we can hear their voices. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they're upset with me as well, and I apologize to them for that, but, it is bad timing because they couldn't be here, but I still think that we need to have that vote.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I think we've heard from everybody in the room tonight and exactly how they feel and how the rest of the commission feels as well. But I'm going to make a motion to approve the introduction of this ordinance.
I'll second.
We have a motion for approval from Mayor Pro Tem Chris Bryant, and the second was from Commissioner George Jones. Is there any further debate or discussion? Hearing and seeing none, commissioners, please vote. And by a unanimous vote, folks, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, thank you. When each of us ran for our seats, we never imagined we might have to deal with a lot of the things we've had to deal with in the last couple of years, frankly. But this, and so I thank you for your hearts and your listening ear to what the public has had to say. And to those of you that have come out, thank you for your support. And if I could be so humble to ask, would you please keep it up? Because things likely just got really, really hard for me and these elected people, okay? So thank you for that support, and keep in mind that we have to work on this in our state, we haven't, we can pump our fists and celebrate for a moment, but there's more to do, and this is a state decision, so please keep the momentum up, and again, thank you for your support, thank you for your compassion and understanding, and for being courteous and loving toward one another and toward us. We appreciate that. That is the extent of our business. We are adjourned.